So, don't be disappointed. With that in mind, oh, and there's some Sandy as well. Right, firstly, I speak for everyone when I say what fantastic jobs bridesmaids Megan, Nish and Charlotte have done today, and I'm sure you'll all agree they look amazing. So, Emma, as for you, what can I say? You look absolutely stunning, a truly beautiful bride. Now, I'm sure most of you know who we are, but for those that don't, I'm Carl, James' brother, and this is Drew's, his lifelong friend. But for those of you, you'll know that I'm a man of few words, whereas Drew's on the other hand. The rest of you have been warned. We'll begin with the year James was born, 1981. And as we're all here today, when we look at James, it shouldn't be hard to believe that, he was a deeply ugly baby. So ugly, in fact, the midwife had to be restrained from slapping our mum and dad. 1981 was actually the same year that Charles and Diana got married. We all wish we don't end up like them. Emma, especially you. James is a lovely guy. He's always very caring of his youngster. I'll never forget, I broke my leg. He walked in the house, he pointed in that stoned laugh, he looked at me and went, "Unlucky." If that wasn't bad enough, he actually took it upon himself to alter the height of one of my crutches. For weeks. We all know James is a lovely laid-back guy, but apparently when he was younger he wasn't adverse to the odd tantrum. Like the time he spent hours in his room, excitedly getting himself ready as a clown. Only to walk in the front room, Mum and Dad burst into laughter. Poor James burst into tears. Ran upstairs and never went to beavers again. Or, in fact, see any type of beaver. Unfortunately, I don't have many more stories about the early years, as the only communication we had was the daily dead arm I used to see. However, the one thing I do remember is the first time he scared me. It was one morning at my nanny and granddad's, about 19 years ago. I'd just been downstairs eating my breakfast when I thought, I'll go upstairs and get changed. Well, I thought James would be upstairs asleep. But as I come running round the corner, he was awake and facing me on the stairs. And it was at this truly horrific moment, his dressing gown just flapped open. Enough for me to see what I can only describe as a bush. Wild bush. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I was shocked. Thankfully, he wasn't pulling a suggestive pose. But it was years before I realised he wasn't turning into a werewolf, and I could look him in the eye. Eyes. Again.
Go on, Trudeau!
Before James's man garden began to flourish, as a trendsetter, a number of hairstyles. Some will remember James with the long hair. But some of the hairstyles we discovered shocked even us. As a youngster, James introduced me to hair gel, and as his fashion disciple, I followed him through the sidelines, and indeed joined his long-haired brotherhood. I certainly never copied this one. Here's that suggestion. I used to think of James as a real style icon in my youth. I certainly don't now. Not just into trend-setting haircuts. Got whack also into his designer labels from a young age. As you may have seen from that last picture, if you could take your eyes off the mullet for just a second. Here he is in the garden, decked out in a cap, head to toe in Reebok, and some trainers modern day New Ravens would be proud of. James was the first person I know to have Reebok pumps, LA gear, kickers, cap boots, and following that he would only shop in the best designer stores, refusing to buy anything that cost under £100. To be honest, I only agreed to do this today because I thought I'd get a free Hugo Boss suit out. It got a lot tighter with age. James, he had many other hobbies as a child, and for a time he was somewhat of a history buff, obsessed with ancient Egypt and medieval Britain. In his quest for knowledge, he became an avid reader, and still is to this day. Now, I know when you're looking at James, I know what you're thinking. He can read. It's true. In fact, there is a popular theory that he's only marrying Emma for the lifetime supply of free books. Even more shocking than the fact that he can read. James has also had brief love affairs with various sporting endeavours. He claimed to be a brown belt taekwondo master. And now, I saw no evidence of this against trained professionals, nor could I find any photos, but I do remember him putting the moves to good use on poor young Carl and Ricky from next door. Once sending Ricky home to his mum Sue with a bloody nose and having to face her wrath. Is Sue here today?
Yes, she
Hi
is.
there, Sue. I'd just like to say to you at this point, as I did at the time, that I had no involvement in that incident. Okay, for a time, James was also into football, apparently. He obviously preferred playing on his own. In conducting our research, James's mum made the bold statement of, oh, he was a good swimmer in his youth.
Massive.
I don't know about that, but he certainly wasn't much of a swimmer on the stag do. I do remember going to St Augustine's with Whack a lot when we were kids, but we most looked forward to the sausage rolls from Baker's Oven and buying stink bombs to set off in Anglia Square, a scent that remains with this area of Norwich to this day. James often tells me that he regularly goes running. I staked out his alleged route for months, but never saw him. Even after scouring the Wakefield family archives, this was the only evidence I could find. James did toy with the idea of joining the gym with me for a while, but being too tight to actually join himself, he just opted to come on my free pass. I've heard rumours that James is an accomplished guitar player, but again, I've seen no evidence of this, and reports from Ems really are not good. Music is a big part in James's life. He loves collecting and listening to albums, going to gigs, and it was in fact his late Uncle Ray, big shout out to him.
Yeah, Ray.
put us on to an awesome band by the name of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Oblivious to their affiliations with the far right, we got really into them. And our favourite track is Simple Man. And all I can say is James is certainly It's our joint love of all things rock and roll and our special brand of cigarettes at high school that us form our legendary gang, Space Cowboys. I've been told since that we look more like Romanian refugees. I was very shocked to learn from his mum that his favourite band growing up was actually New Kids. I think you'll agree, Marky Mark's t-shirt is pretty ironic. James likes his holidays, and our first big adventure as a group was to California, Sands. There were 2 of these holidays. I personally struggled to distinguish between them, but I do know that James wore the same Kappa trackies with more holes and material for the duration of both trips. California conquered, we decided to embark on our first European adventure in 1830s to Magaluf. Now, I know what you're thinking, this may sound like a very depraved affair, and believe you me, for many it was, myself included. I'm done with that. Yeah, cheers, Cole. It was around this time we referred to him as the Ambassador, Citizen Wahegi. And his family, old and new, will be proud to know this was because he always conducted himself impeccably, albeit in a bid to woo the ladies. We also used to call him Skippy Wank Pants.
Oh, Skippy.
James had an eye for the ladies. From the outset of his man garden, he was still into sports. He fancied himself as a bit of a ladies' man. Thankfully for Ems, he was never any good at chatting them up. The rest at ease when he's on nights out with the boys. Clearly, to be honest, his only real success with women has been when he's preyed on young and intoxicated minors. For a time, we did wonder if James might be gay. And when growing up, nights out would always end with him inviting me to one of his champagne kitchen pants parties. As the name suggests, the 2 of us would drink champagne in his mum and dad's kitchen, probably carver and all. Reflect on the night's endeavours, but for some reason James would always insist that we wore only our pants. And I'd just like to say at this point, I only went along with this for the free booze. I was never really sure what his intentions were. I started to wonder to myself, will we ever meet a girl?
When James did finally make out of his dressing gown and leave the house, he finally met Emma. And I know since the moment my family met Emma, they thought she was special, and not little bus special, but beautiful person special. I remember one night on his birthday, we'd been out for a few drinks at the Marlborough. As we walked home, I looked ahead to see James and Emma walking arm in arm. I thought to myself, how sweet, what a beautiful couple. It was at this moment, James turned to Emma and shouted, Phillips, get off me! I need your help! I'm sure it will come as no surprise. As soon as Ems let go, James quickly met the pain. It was at this moment it became clear to me that my brother needed Emma. He needed her not just as a girlfriend or wife, but as a carer. As someone who could look after him, keep him upright, punch him when he farts. Speak for him when he's too drunk to talk. Chuck him in at night, but most importantly, make him aware when his massive gay hand. As for my brother, I'm pretty sure he knew Ems was a keeper the first time they kissed. As, unfortunately, for James and Emma, his wind got the better of him. He actually had a little burp in her mouth.
Yes, he did.
Now, I knew my brother had a problem with wind, but I always thought it was from the other end. Like the time he was on holiday with my parents in the south of France. He farted in the kitchen. A mysterious substance hit the white tiled floor. But we won't go into that one too much. While on the subject of flatulence and smells, is that a nice warm baguette I can smell? Where's Alan? Alan! Alan! Alan!
Alan!
Where's that Alan? We've got your baguette. Pass that back to Alan. Come on. For those that don't know, we had the stag do in the Caistor Hall. And if we learned anything, it was that Alan loves a nice warm baguette. Carl, I'm just going to go to the garage and get us another warm baguette. Oh, Alan, nice one. And apparently he supports West Ham, but Donnelly will be here later. Alan mentioned it in his speech. He's basically a better seal than he's ever been a human being. And as for James, well, I think he's finally regained the power of speech. To be fair, pretty tame, really. Huh.
But tonight we dine in hell!
In all seriousness, though, I would like to say I love you, James, and it has been an absolute honour to be one of your best men. Whether you're glad you still ask me, I'm not so sure. But you'll be pleased to know that's it for me and my part in the Dossier of Doom. All I have to say is I'm sure you two will be happy together for a long, long time. That is James, as long as you remember. Ems is always right. If in doubt, ask Ems. If you know, still ask Ems. And most importantly, I forgot to give you your Pampers in case you're feeling a bit loose tonight. The most important thing. And most importantly, make sure Megan is happy with everything. I was going to say, you may now kiss the bride, but
That's got to be
she's miles away. So, thank you, that's it for me.
In all of this that we have forgotten. I didn't declare this in the church today, but James has in fact been married before. His relationship to his first estranged wife, rich, filthy Hank Alderton, lasted over a decade and spanned 3 houses. I call this chapter of James' life the Sparky and Ratchet years. Soon after leaving school, they moved into their first house. It wasn't the most nicely decorated place. They still took their washing home, and they exploited their elderly neighbour into tending to the garden to allow more time for smoking their special cigarettes. It did give them their first taste of independence. Now, the bath displayed a crop of pubis Borat would have been proud of, and the kitchen was the kind of place where if you stood still for more than a second, you'd be rooted to the floor. In fact, there was a story once of a party where some random lad came round and just pissed in the corner of their kitchen. And they were absolutely outraged at the time, but knowing what we know now about James's incontinence, maybe this was actually a cover-up by Wakefield himself, and this poor lad was made the scapegoat for one of James's little kitchen mishaps. As they moved into their 20s, they felt the need to become city slickers, and they moved to a courtyard a stone's throw from where we'd bought our stink bombs as children. Away from prying eyes, it was at this address where Sparky and Ratchet's marriage was really able to blossom. After a few years renting in the city, shrewd businessman James realised that if he was going to have to keep paying the way for his spouse, he might as well do it in a home that he owned. He decided to buy a house back in the hood of directly opposite a pub that most of our friends were now barred from, so there was little danger of drunken pals turning up unannounced. Having spent many years watching Filthy Hank at all the girls, James soon learned from his mistakes and decided he needed a partner of his own. Of the female variety this time. And this is when he met Emma, and he knew straight away that this girl was a keeper. Now, I've known James for 28 years. We've drifted apart a few times, but he keeps coming back. By the time I paid this girl to run him over outside the school, and he came back, he's been milking this pimp limb. You never did give me my cut of the compensation money either. Never mind. But in all seriousness, 28 years speaks for itself. James is a great friend and someone who's very difficult to fall out with. Emma will probably fall out with him often, but he will never fall out with her, because quite frankly he wouldn't dare. He's passed up girl in Magaluf to carry me home, although he probably didn't have a shot anyway if gay hand goes bad. He's consistently visited me up north and overseas, been to watch Norwich on a freezing cold January when he doesn't even like football. And he even lent me his modest swimming trunks on holiday, but I won't show you. James didn't go to uni. He trained as a welder when he left school, and then realising his potential, his employers moved him into the design team, and he now travels all over the world representing his company. He went to college for over a decade to get to where he is now, and he's stuck at his job some 16 plus years. And Emma, I really think this is the kind of commitment you can expect from him in your marriage. When Wakey first told me of his proposal, I was really pleased for them both, once he allowed me to get dressed. I knew I had to accept that the days of the space cowboys were finally over. Emma's a lovely girl. Stuff that you've seen here, and she has wisdom beyond her years. Like James, she's a real grafter. She's an accomplished businesswoman, just like James. She manages a large team, has advanced quickly in her company, as they obviously recognise the talent she has in abundance. She's super organised and very determined, and I think Wack said it best when he said if Ems went on apprentice, she would just wipe the floor with them, and I totally agree with him, to be honest. They're a real power couple for the future. Beckham's watch out. And when they're not taking over the world, they really know how to kick back. Whether we're out partying together or chilling on the sofa, they genuinely enjoy each other's company, and I think they complement each other beautifully. I can say hand on heart that I feel confident they'll be together forever. And ladies and gentlemen, please raise your glasses to the bride and groom. Yeah.